Fuck. Episode 41. Oh, man. It's been nice. I took some time off. I don't think I need to justify taking a little bit of time to myself, but yeah, work's been fucking crazy. And I hate goddamn cooking, and I don't want to do it anymore. But you know what? This podcast doesn't have any sponsors, and I gotta pay the bills somehow. So here we go. By the way, I just took a huge fucking rip and was coughing my lungs out right before I got on mic, so that's why I sound like this. But all right, how we doing out there, guys? Like I said, I took a little break, a little time to myself. Not that I don't like doing this. This is a lot of fun. I really do enjoy talking to myself in a big empty room about movies and letting nobody listen to them. But at the same time, I think it makes me sound a little bit better when I talk with Jake. I got to get used to talking to another person, though, because I keep trying to steamroll them. And, yeah, I don't know. I think we sound pretty good when we're together. But me on my own, I'm still getting used to this. This is uncharted territory for me. So, took a nice little week and a half hiatus. Edited up the Blacktooth and then posted that. So at least, there's something that I was working on that I did. But, yeah, time to get back into the saddle. I'll probably be crapping these out like twice a week like I was, midsummer when I am working significantly less over the winter. So that should be fun. I'm also planning on trying to get a couple different people to talk on this because this one's fun. Blacktooth as well. I want Mark and Jake to meet each other and do an episode of Blacktooth together. But I think that whenever I can get Mark down here to do an episode where we talk about Blade Runner, that's going to be ideal. I'm looking forward to that. I hate that fucking movie, but I am looking forward to bickering with Mark on mic because it does make for really good fucking listening and, good content. Not that I go for anything like that. It's not like I'm trying to get monetized or nothing. Nah. I don't even know why I'm trying to fucking push that. It's fucking retarded. I just do this because it prevents me from doing other dumb shit, like losing at poker like I did earlier today. That was, I like that my last movie that I did was Rounders because I was happy that it came in the mail and I'm happy I have a hard copy of that now. But god damn did that movie got to my head and I'm like way overthinking shit now at the table. I gotta fucking go back to the fucking drawing boards, read a fucking Doyle Brunson book or do something and get my head out of my ass and play like a normal human being. Anyway, this is way fucking off topic. Let's get on the fucking topic today. Movies. We're watching them. Back in the fucking saddle, like I said. What we're watching today is They Live by John Carpenter, which is a movie I've seen before. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. I said I was going to watch a crappy one. I have an idea for what I'm going to do for, the 42nd episode, but it has not arrived yet. So let's fucking just wait till that happens. But yeah, I'm going to watch a crappy movie down the road. But this one's pretty good. I'm just happy that this one showed up in the mail today. I bought 2 copies of the same goddamn movie without realizing that one of them is region protected because for whatever reason they thought that piracy laws were gonna somehow be changed if you just fucking make the region specific to a fucking DVD player, which is goddamn asinine logic. So I ordered They Live on Blu-ray and the Blu-ray looked kind of funny. And as soon as the thing shipped, I got an email directly from the seller that's like, "Hi, this is so-and-so. I'm emailing you from Germany just to let you know that your package is on the way. The Amazon thing isn't accurate. It'll get there much sooner than it says on Amazon. I just wanted to, follow up and say, thank you for your purchase and blah, 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 blah. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, you did purchase a Region 2, an R2. And I'm like, I did what now? And I had to Google it, and sure enough, I bought a fucking Blu-ray that doesn't work in North America, go figure. So I had to go back from fucking and to get another fucking one that does work, and it showed up first, go figure. So I got a copy of They Live on Blu-ray and a copy of They Live on European Blu-ray that doesn't work in North American players. But the one I'm watching right now works, and I'm gonna dive into this puppy. So off the bat, let's talk about John Carpenter. There are so many fucking John Carpenter movies I would absolutely love to talk about, but I feel like this is one where it's very important, especially right now, because not only of the message of the film, but the madness that kind of surrounds mass hysteria is very prevalent right now, and everybody knows about so this is like one of those films where people don't have context to shit they do, and that's kind of the point of like this film, is that you just kind of mindlessly go about your life. You do something because it's fashionable or somebody else was doing it, and you just kind of are like, hey, I like what they're doing. I like the way that people react to what they're doing, so I'm going to do that myself. So people just kind of go through life like not really having any, like personal interest. They just kind of mimic what they enjoy. And it's just this oversimplification of personality where you end up robbing yourself of it entirely. You no longer have distinction from one another. Like, yeah, you have like minute details, like you might dress slightly differently or like, louder or quieter than other people. There's things that aren't inherent to just like genetics and like your actual look. Like, it's like people nowadays are going out of the way to have this like aesthetic that is just like completely devoid of anything short. The way I would explain it is like NASCARing themselves. Like the way that NASCARs have advertisements, like, they pay, sponsors pay to be on the NASCARs. It's kind of like that, but like your entire personality, as well as like the way you present yourself, is just this generic regurgitation of something that you saw. And people right now just don't have like the mental capacity to kind of process the times we're living in, with both the coronavirus and like, looming impending wars that we're inevitably going to be getting into with this fucking administration at the helm. Not to go down that road, but like, it is kind of obvious the writing there is on the wall. You can't pull out of a country that rapidly, lose your fucking seat in power that quickly, and then all of a sudden expect shit to go better. It's not the way that it works. It just doesn't work that way. But anyway, maybe if people were less like fixated on their phones and more fixated on like, actual problems and trying to, diplomatically resolve shit, you could do it. And I think this movie is kind of an excellent talking point. Like, it's not necessarily like the end all be all film about, think or like open your eyes or like use your brain. It's one of those things where it just is a nice way of saying, hey, there's kind of bigger things afoot here, and you should really be paying attention to what's going on. And what I love about it is that it's made by John Carpenter, he's such a diligent, very like deliberate filmmaker. He does everything with such careful, crafted intent that you're almost like, if you don't get the message of it, then you really are just, you watch the movie for the entirely wrong reasons, or somehow viewed the movie blindfolded. He's so good at presenting it. Like, Escape from New York is like an allegory of like about the way that society kind of can collapse when you just try to put all of your problems away, when you try to ignore your problems. That's like what Escape from New York is about, because it's like, you got like literally an island of misfit toys where you have to send the dude that wants nothing to do with anything to do a job he doesn't want to do. And it's like this like story about like alienation. But this one is kind of like, and like The Thing's a story about like kind of about like nuclear technology. I'm not really going to get into that. That's like a heady subject, and I'm running out of time here. So what we got here with They Live is just, it's a very John Carpenter way of saying like, hey, here's like a very metaphorical, presentation of a story that's about like people deliberately ignoring the like things that are around them just because they would rather live in that blissful ignorance than pay attention to what's going on and grasp the reality of the situation. And this was from like the 80s. This was not something that, they didn't have rectangular advertisement machines that were constantly bombarding their brain with just how you're inadequate and other people are doing better than you. Like, there's just, it just wasn't there yet. But yet this movie kind of like predicted that. So I'm going to shut up, and without further ado, we're watching They Live. And I got a lot to say about this one, so like I can't wait till the other side on this. But yeah, without further ado, They Live. I fucking miss doing that. How we doing? That was a great one, folks. I'm gonna give myself one of these so I can give myself one of those. It's been a little bit, folks. I'm having a hard time over here. But I am very high, and I very much enjoy that movie. I forget how much I enjoy it every time. And I gotta admit, that might be one of the funniest endings to any film John Carpenter's done. A lot of them do kind of encapsulate the just in the middle of things, the in media res storytelling, where you just kind of have, these broader themes that are currently the backdrop, but then the story takes place within that, but it just kind of starts at an arbitrary point when the narrative begins, that is. And then when the story with that person is, finished, everything else continues going on, but you're left with like that, nice, snippet of time in which the story exists within a bigger theme. And that is a very, very, very big thing going on right here. And I had to do a little research on this. I had to do a nice little double check, on my own, like go to the old Wikipedia. But I want to make sure two things. I want to make sure this was about Reagan, which it absolutely was. And I wanted to make sure that it was strictly about consumerism, because it was, but there was another theme that kind of snuck in there. And I kind of like, upon further reviewing of this film, you do kind of get this, this nice dichotomy. So yeah, let's dive into that other theme, which is poverty. So a lot of the humans that you see, you only really see two extremes of people, as well as the aliens, and they kind of, are a part of the one cast. So you have these two casts. You have the extreme poverty cast, in which Roddy Piper's character and, what's the guy's name? Something Lewis. The Roddy and the black guy, who was also the guy that sells heroin in Requiem for a Dream. You'll know him by his very distinguishing tooth gap, but he is a handsome gentleman. Let's give him applause for also having a tooth gap like myself. This is why you hear me whistling so much over here. Anyway, so you have extreme poverty, and then you have the alternative, which is you're either a human that is coerced into working and perpetuating whatever the aliens are doing, or the aliens themselves, which are of the top echelon of people in society. And I kind of, there's no middle ground. And the reason I thought that played into Reagan is because Reagan was like trying to do this thing to the middle class, where he was like, the trickle down economics, it benefits the middle class. And, to a certain extent, it does benefit the middle class, but it doesn't pay everybody off, and it doesn't trickle down far enough. So although I may directly be, on the end of the middle class having benefited from Reaganomics, not everybody did. And I can understand John Carpenter's gripe, because there is only these two extremes in the film. There is no middle class. And that was kind of, it shows this like very clean cut, distinct polarity, which with this film exists. And it's not that way. Obviously, there's people in the middle, but the fact that just this extreme is what we're brought into, it kind of does show his opinions on the matter, which is that consumerism is a very visual, one-sided, monotone thing. It's this thing that is trying to be indistinct from regular life, to the point where it just, you don't even recognize you're doing something. You're just abiding by this unset, social pressure in which you're doing something, that's perpetuated in the case of They Live by the aliens. And I also like how it's very abrupt. It's very on the nose, but the fact that it is on the nose is just one of those, well, we're using this in a metaphorical sense. So when you say things like they are responsible for doing this, they're controlling us, they're the ones that want us to, mindlessly do things and stay asleep, and they're using brainwave, all that stuff. It's in the direction of the aliens, but you kind of know that it's, a very poignant critique of, consumerism, like almost on par with like Andy Warhol. And don't fucking break my balls about comparing John Carpenter to Andy Warhol. John Carpenter breaks his own balls in this film by saying there's like at the very end, the talk show that's going on where everybody's at the bar they're watching. And it's like a lady saying that John Carpenter and I forget who it is. Wes Craven, maybe? No, someone. George Romero. That's who it is. Yeah, George Romero and John Carpenter are doing some naughty filmmaking, which is funny. It's a very like nice little self-reflexive meta moment. But yeah, the you get like kind of these nice little like snaps of what consumerism is like. You see it in the film and it's organic. It's like what's called filler. But then when they make the distinction too, it's almost like you yourself as the audience are like, oh shit, like this happens in every movie. Like just in general, I love that this film, you have all of the backdrops to everything. You have billboards, you have cars, you have magazines, you have flyers, you have televisions, you have people reading things, you have people wearing things, you have signs, political campaigns, advertisements on the back of buses and other bumper stickers, like shit like that, where when you dilute it down to this like monotone, like black and white thing, and it's just like obey, consume, procreate, shit like that, eat, like don't think, sleep, like stay asleep, shit like that is kind of like, well, now literally in the film I'm aware of this is what this is, and I am like now fully cognizant of like that this consumerism shit and advertisement is like so ingrained in not only like this guy's life, but like in the the world in general. But then if you take a step back and look at it like from like a meta lens of like, yeah, this is like what they fill the backgrounds of other movies with. But then again, the only reason they fill the backgrounds of other movies with this shit is because that's what's replicating real life. In real life, this is what you had. If there was a way you could turn it to like, black and white, like go to it, you would probably get a headache like the character, because now you're actually seeing like the true motives of a fucking thing. But for as worked up as I get, I always have to kind of like take a time out and just pause and appreciate that this is done by John Carpenter. So it's so fucking cartoony that like, even though that's the message and it's very like clear cut and very like, obvious, there's not really a subjective way or an objective way to not see it. It's like completely subjective. You still are getting like this cartoony, like it feels kind of like Big Trouble in Little China sometimes. Like when he's the first time he shoots up the bank or whatever. I don't know why. Like if you threw like a little fucking samurai action in there, probably would have looked like Big Trouble from Little China, or like an extra scene from that shit. I fucking love it. I love it because it doesn't take itself too seriously. But then again, this is the most visceral film I think I've watched, where it's like we don't even have people trying to fight it anymore. Like just look at what, like I take these moments at work where I try to like connect with everything. Like I try not to just be buried in my phone all day or doing something, but I take these moments where I just like look around and I realize there is not one goddamn person around me that's not completely just, transfixed. I wouldn't even say looking. I would say transfixed by their phone. And like if somebody walked in there with a gun, I wondered how long it would take for them to realize, oh shit, we're being robbed. Like I wonder these fucking things. But then I see like this film that called this in 1988, and like so I remember the first time I watched this film too. Like this film was like very poignant for 1988 for obvious reasons. But then like as time progressed, it just got worse. But like it was just like, oh well, that's how it is now. That's how it is now. And it's like this permissive shit. But I remember like the focal point being when Obama was president. I remember that he signed something where you were no longer like it was no longer prohibited for you to be directly marketed to or something. Like you could be directly like marketed at. And I've looked it up several times now, and I always end up like getting more confused by it each time I read it, because it's like no, it's not really that. We just said that like ultimately like news sources can just kind of like fudge the truth a little bit, smidge it a little bit here and there, so it's a little more catered towards a specific audience, meaning like a polarization of like you get your Fox News conservatives, your CNN liberals, and then there's like some stuff in the middle, but like it doesn't get the credibility as those two. Like you get like hyper liberal stuff or hyper conservative stuff. It's one of those things where I remember watching this movie because of the esteem that precedent by Obama was set. Like, and you think it's gotten better since then. You don't think that that's in many ways, shape, or forms affected like the way that people live their lives and like the pressures and like certain anxieties that people feel. This film, like, I'm not gonna just sit here and be like, yo, dude, they called it an 88. No, that's not how this shit fucking works. It was a very comical, but like albeit like very on point critique of consumerism culture, and kind of like, hey, if you like don't pay attention to why you're doing this, you're kind of gonna like have to like, you're gonna see things through this different lens. Like it's like, well, I don't need these things, I don't, and it's like all just a matter of like trying to keep up with the Joneses, I guess, like without oversimplifying it. I don't fucking know. It's very bizarre, but like you see it now. What is Facebook but a fucking way of people that from high school just trying to one up each other? I've been Facebook free for like 2 weeks now. I think that warrants an applause. Yeah, I've been like Facebook and Instagram social media free for like 2 fucking whole weeks now. I'm not even sure how to explain how I feel, but it's like I'm seeing the world on a more personal level, and it is really bizarre. I don't feel as worn out. I don't feel as tired on behalf of other people. I just kind of get my news from 4chan, and then like talk to the people I know at work, talk to people I know like directly. That is, like, I don't do it like through this like fucking secondhand shit. Give me 1 sec. Oh, that's so great. Fucking Lancaster County. I guess it's Lagco. Fucking CBD mixed with a little bit of fucking birthday cake. So, yeah, big ups to marijuana, which definitely helps with this podcast. But anyway, so let's talk about the aliens. I like the aliens because they evoke this thing where they're trying to be us. And they're trying to be us because they know that if we're just told directly by them as is, we're not going to believe them. We're going to do our own thing. But the way that you get to the normal people that want to like play ball and be a part of this social paradigm in which like you're incentivized by consuming to become like a bigger, more like less human, less personal version of yourself, but like ultimately like a higher status of yourself. If you like look at it, you could say that the allegory here directly is the Chinese. Like, and I'm not saying this to be like racist. Like, I would do a voice if I wanted to be fucking racist, but no, this is like exactly what I've been bitching about for like with like every time Jake comes over, I always mention it. But yeah, man, TikTok. Like, I have this fear that we're gonna end up like China with a social credit score. And my social credit score is going to be dog shit, mostly because of this podcast. Because I say shit like China sucks, and your president does look like Winnie the Pooh, and your people drive horribly. I might have to bleep that. It wasn't what you thought, though. It had nothing to do with... Anyway. But yeah, it's like it's China. It's like they want a social credit score, and the way that you ascertain status in a social credit score is by like kind of ignoring your humanistic tendencies to like want to formulate communities. It's more like selling each other out. Now, what was a very popular game a couple of years ago? It's that Among Us game where it kind of is like an archipelago thing, which by the way, still fucking reading that book, fucking bitching. Like you got you're incentivized to like sell people out if they don't agree with certain ideologies of the state. And it's like, that's not a good thing, nor is it like a practical thing. It ultimately just makes people like rat on everybody until the only people that are left are like so completely like disillusioned and disenfranchised that like they don't know what they're gonna say. They're still gonna get lined up and shot, but like it's just one of those. Like, this is not a good trend. We should not be thinking this way. We should not be just like using fucking apps and fucking devices and shit that like at any given point you have carte blanche to be spied on. Like, fuck, I know I sound paranoid as fuck, but it really is just exactly the way this film like laid it out. Like, you got these social incentives to kind of like become someone. You could be an Instagram star, you could be Facebook famous, you could become an influencer. Like, you could also just fucking mind your own business and save money. And like, I mean, I'm not saying I have like the most, dedicated mindset, but I put a lot of money away during COVID. It's just working and ignoring what other people tell you to do. And like, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this. One thing that I have learned my years of travels is that generally when someone tells you to do something and they're like really trying to tell you to do something, you should probably do the fucking opposite. Like, I mean, like there's certain cases, obviously, like go to the doctor if you have like a fucking gigantic wound in your head that you're not addressing or pretending like it's not there. Which, sometimes I do have to be reminded, like, yeah, you're not a fucking invincible person. Go to the doctor, like, stupid. And there's like, certain financial decisions like, oh, I'm going to buy this. Like, yeah, shut up, stupid. You know how much you like are going to lose in taxes and like how quickly that's going to depreciate in value. It's like, fuck, I didn't think about it like that. Good call. Like, but anytime like someone's like really trying to get you to do something, you should probably do the opposite, because they're the only person that's going to be benefiting from it, not you, no matter what you're doing. Like it's a scheme, or they're in some way benefiting from it, or they're just going to hurt you, which I think They Live does a pretty good job of demonstrating. It's like you're going to get completely disenfranchised with society. Like you're going to get excommunicated to the point of having a homeless fucking shelter in the middle of a park somewhere that they can still come and fucking demolish with a fucking bulldozer. Now, I'm not gonna like sit here and say like this back to basics shit's like realistic. It's very well done. It's an excellent theme for the film, just because it gives you this distinction, and there is like a very black and white nature to this film, like throughout, be it the black and white lens that we view the aliens through when you're looking through the sunglasses or they're wearing the contact, or just the bleak like lack of optimism. It's like you're either them or you're not, or you're either with that cause or you're not. It's just a dichotomy, and it's very poignant and very well done. But like, that being said, I'm not like gonna sit here and argue that like, yeah, it's fucked up, man, how they took that steamroller through the fucking thing. It's like, they made their point. It's that this is not Occupy Wall Street. They're literally homeless people that are so broke they need to eat bread because aliens. But that being said, it could be something that could potentially happen. I foresee fucking Bidenvilles coming around. Look out, Hoovervilles. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to quit talking about the politics aspect. I got like 3 minutes left. I'm going to fucking talk about something I like too. One thing that is very interesting about They Live, and it has nothing, it's completely not like anything to do with like the message or whatever. I think it was an aesthetic choice, and it like clearly is an aesthetic choice that was like continued on as like Shepard Fairey used this for his whole Obey campaign with his street art and whatnot. But there's this very like block imagery thing that they have going on, and all I can fucking think of right now is like all these little fucking hype beasts. Like every message is very like white, and then like the only thing you see is just this like fucking very milquetoast like bland background in which the message stands firm. And it's like you look around at these little hype beast kids, and all they're wearing is Supreme shit. All they want is that fucking logo to pop. It's like there's nothing about the garments they're wearing or the tattoos they're getting or the bling they're rocking is like, it's just look at the logo. Look at the logo, because this means expensive. And that's like, when it boils down to it, it's almost like they watch this movie and like the people that produce this shit, the people that perpetuate like this trend in pop culture, or like the zeitgeist, or whatever you'd like to contextualize it as. But it is kind of like everything else is just black and white. The only thing that's coming across is the message, and it is ultimately consume, or like not even consume, because it's already in the past tense. It's I consumed. And it's annoying, but it's like, fuck. I thought that was a very interesting artistic direction, and like this, it's so good, and it called it perfectly. But I'm gonna quit being hung up on it. Watch They Live. And also, if you're gonna watch They Live, don't order your DVD from Germany, because they don't work here. So you can have 2 copies where only one works. But yeah, thanks for listening. It's nice to be back. I'm gonna try and keep these coming pretty frequently. So keep paying attention. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.